Hello and welcome to Master Your Mindset with your host, Isis Foster. This is the place to be for anyone who is on a personal development journey. I will be sharing with you my own mindset hacks and personal past experiences. Please subscribe and share if you enjoy what I'm about to share with you and you've taken value from it. You never know who may need to hear it. Today I'm going to be sharing with you something which is super personal to me and something which I've been on now for about 2 years. This is my fitness journey, and it's really important that I do share this with you all because I get messages on a daily basis 2 years later from when I started telling me how well I'm doing and how great I'm looking. But I just want to be very clear and open that it hasn't always been that way. At one point, I did have to start, and I started in a really low pace. So before I begin, I just want to make this very clear to you all that I am no health professional. This is literally just my journey and my personal experiences and what I've gained throughout the past 2 years. So let's rewind it all the way back to childhood. I was the most active child. I used to do gymnastics. I used to swim for Surrey. I used to do cheerleading competitively. I was here, there and everywhere, always running around, always doing stuff. My parents just really wanted us to be able to do loads of different sports and not be bored. So I was a very athletic kid. And I think when I hit puberty, I did kind of put on a little bit of weight, but at the time, you don't really notice it when it's happening. It's only when you look back and you're like, wow, okay, my body shape did really change. And I remember a point where I looked in the mirror and I saw like back fat. And as a kid, I never ever had that. Not a single time would I ever look in the mirror and ever notice that. I was quite a slim build child. And I remember seeing that back fat and kind of thinking like, what's that doing there? Like, I've never been very, like, I wouldn't say I was skinny, but I was like an athletic build. So I always had like a really strong figure on me. And I remember seeing that. And from that point onwards, I was just like, okay, well, if I just exercise more, if I just, cut down what I'm eating, could that potentially help? And then I went to uni, and everyone knows what it's like at uni. You drink cider for breakfast, you have vodka for lunch, and you have shots for dinner. So when I went to uni, the pounds piled on even more. And I just remember, like, I was trying to mask my unhappiness in my body with either food or drink because that's all that I felt comfortable with. Leaving uni, I went into my first full-time job, and I think it was really there that I realised I had to do something about this. I graduated uni with a degree in PE teaching, so you'd think that I knew what to do when it came to health and exercise, what things to eat, but I was so clueless. I used to think eating salads every day and exercising all the time, that would get me the body that I wanted. Absolutely false. Couldn't be more wrong from the truth. I tried to cut out carbs. I tried to do keto diets. Like, I tried absolutely everything and literally nothing worked for me. So I think it got to a point where I was like, okay, right, I'm just going to give up. And then it was only about 2 years ago that I really looked at myself and was like, Isis, you need to do something about this now. Otherwise, this is going to have a detrimental effect on you as you get older. And don't get me wrong, I was by no means massive, but the way I felt about myself was not good. And that would have had a detrimental effect on my mindset and the way that I viewed life. And I really didn't want that. I actually remember calling up a clinic after work one day asking about their fat loss surgery, their fat dissolving surgery. And then I was like, Isis, what are you doing? Like, that's going to cost thousands to do, number one. Secondly, you're only 24. Like, you don't need to be doing that. And I just felt myself at breaking point. Have you ever felt yourself like in such a desperate situation where you actually don't know where to turn and you feel so helpless and you want to help yourself, but you don't know how to? And then you just kind of feel yourself going delusional and you're like, I can't believe like I've let it get to this point and now I feel really, really stuck. So I could feel myself getting frustrated with things around me. And it was at this point that I realised something had to change. I was getting annoyed at my partner. I was getting annoyed at my friends and family. I was getting annoyed at the people I work with. And I never used to be like that. my friends would describe me as really warm and loving and caring and really good energy. And back then, that just wasn't the case at all for me. I felt so helpless and I started resenting people around me. So if I looked at someone and they, for example, had the body that I wanted, I would begin to resent them. And that is an awful, awful spiral to fall into. No one should ever fall into that. And this is the point where I was like, I need to reverse this. Like, this is in my control. I need to take ownership for what is happening in my life right now, because the only person that can change the way my body is, the only person that can change the way I feel about my body is me. So I remember scrolling on social media. I was on Instagram actually, and I'd been following this girl for a while, and she was posting loads of like before and after pictures. She was posting loads of videos. She just looked like she was, you know, when people say someone is glowing, this is literally what this girl looked like. She was glowing from head to toe. There was a massive transformation there, but more importantly, you could tell that she absolutely loved the way she looked. And I looked at that and I was like, that is inspiring. Like, I want to be feeling how this girl is feeling. So I remember dropping her a message, asking her, and she just explained to me that she'd been working with an online trainer. He was really easy to talk to. He caters different plans to you. And I was like, okay, maybe this could work for me. So I remember reaching out to him the first time, like I said, just under 2 years ago. And I remember he told me, like, this is what we'll do. It's not a worry, like everything you've been through, I've worked with clients before. So it was really reassuring. And then I remember he told me, like, there's an initial fee of £150. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, a gym membership is what, 50 quid? So £150 monthly. I was like, wow, that's such a big investment. I said, let me think about it for a couple of days. I remember going away and I gave myself about a week. And then I looked at myself and was like, right, £150 to make you feel good in yourself, to know what to put into your body, to know what exercises to do to change the way you feel about yourself. Is that worth it? And then later that night, I went on to Pretty Little Thing and did a £150 order for clothes I'm probably going to wear once or twice. I messaged him back straight away the next day after I had to think about it. And I was like, I'm going to take you up on the offer. I'm 100% going to do it. And he said, look, no strings attached. You can cancel at any time. If it's not for you, absolutely fine. You can just go. You're not tied into any contract or anything. And I was like, what have I actually got to lose at this point? Absolutely nothing. So I started the following week. Got all my equipment because I was way too embarrassed to go into a gym. So I did all my workouts from home. And I just remember, like, before any physical changes happened, my mindset just went boom. Instantly, just by moving my body a little bit more than it was used to and doing different exercises and having something to be excited for every day, my body was like, Isis, we love you. And once you get into a routine of something that makes you feel good, I think it's 21 days of doing the same thing. It no longer becomes a routine. It's not a routine anymore. It becomes a habit. And that's literally what my workouts became. I was doing a workout 4 days a week and having 3 rest days at the beginning. And then it kind of shifted to 5 days doing workouts and then 2 days having a rest day. And my body was absolutely loving it. Like I said, before any physical changes happened to my body, my mind and the way that I was like viewing the things around me and the things that were happening inside me were all positive changes. And that is something you cannot put a price tag on. That shit is priceless. I would pay tenfold what I paid to start up with my coach just to have that initial feeling again. So the first month passed and then the second month passed and there were some tweaks in my training, tweaks in my nutrition, because he created nutritional plans for me, which meant that I could build my own food. So like there'd be a certain amount of carbs, certain amount of protein and a certain amount of veg. And then you kind of make your own dinners from that, which I absolutely love because having the same thing every single day just isn't for me. I like to mix it up every now and then. So this plan was really, really working for me. And then it got to the point where I was like, oh my goodness, like I can now see changes in my body. And anyone that's been on a fitness journey, anyone that's like done a workout for a certain amount of time, those first changes are the most rewarding ones. Honestly, like I remember it still so clearly, the first compliment I got from someone who didn't even realise I'd been training. They just saw me after like 2 years and they were like, wow, you're looking really good. And I was like, oh my goodness. And once you get that first compliment, you kind of, it spares you on to try and get more, not necessarily as an exterior, like you want to do it because that compliment makes you feel so good. So, like I said, I've been training now for just under 2 years. So obviously my body has changed so much over that time. But I would say that more importantly than my physical changes, my mental state, the way I view people around me, the way that I react to situations now, the way I feel about myself, which I would say, guys, is the most important thing ever, have all improved. So I personally think that it's a combination of moving my body, being consistent, having something to show up for, having a routine and eating the right things. All of these things have impacted my life in a positive way. And that kind of stuff, guys, I know I've said it so many times before, that is priceless. Like, think about how much you spend on the weekend when you go out boozing with your friends. Yes, you're going to make a few memories, but ultimately there's no long-term goal there. When you invest in yourself and you show up for yourself every single day and you know positive things are going to be a result of what you are currently doing, that is when the real changes happen. And I literally will shout this from the rooftops. Like, now I get so many messages on a daily basis saying how great I look and how incredible I'm doing and how my fitness journey has inspired other people. But that hasn't always been the case. So just remember that if you are someone who is starting off maybe in your fitness journey, or maybe you were like me and maybe you needed that extra push or that extra bit of motivation to get you started, just remember the beginning bit of anything in life is always going to be the hardest bit. But it's usually when you get to that breaking point or the bit where you get so sick of your current situation, it's that point which is the most important, because that is the point that makes you want to change things. That is the point that allows you to improve on your situation and go to that next level of wherever you want to go. Thank you for listening. If you've loved what I've shared with you today, please give me a tag on Instagram at IsisFoster1 and share it with those around you. You never know who may need to hear it. Don't forget to follow me on here so you never miss an episode. I hope you have a beautiful day.